Hello, colleagues. Welcome to this new Q&A clinic for the PMS, product UI, and also the API. We will slowly start. Maybe I can have the next slide so we can start giving some information. So as you know, this session is going to be recorded and we will make it available through the EMA YouTube channel and also in the event web page. As always, you can use Slido for raising your questions. And as you know, the interaction via Slido is voluntary, but you can also may opt to remain anonymous. But if you choose to use Slido, you are consent to the processing of your personal data, as this is explained in the EMA data privacy statement for Slido, where you have the link there. Just before showing you the QR for the QR for the Slido, in the next slide we wanted to explain you a couple of the and give you a bit of an overview of the upcoming events. So if I can have the next slide. Today we are having the Q&A clinics. There is another one planned for the 25th of February. Then we have on the 24th of February, we have the a webinar that is called the PMS Project Made Easy. This one is mainly focused or mainly aimed for the small and medium enterprises. We have been hearing you that you would like to have a webinar to give some tips and summarizing the activities for the small and medium enterprises. So this is happening on the 24th of February. Then on the 14th of March, we have the a webinar that is focused on the right PMS API. It's focused for MA holders, but also for SOVAT developers, because that they are the ones that are going to develop the right PMS API. On the 26th of March, we have the public system demo as part of this agile way of working. And then we will have in April, July, and October the SPOR and XCB PD status updates webinars that we have every year. And last but not least, we have.
Oh, sorry, Marcos. The slides are not visible. Maybe we can try to share. Oh, okay, perfect. That's visible now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Well, you will have all these dates also published in the, as we said, in the presentation in YouTube and also in the event page. Let me share because I think we are having some issues. So I will share my screen. So maybe it's easier.
Actually, we can see now.
Okay.
So it'll be fine.
Yeah, so you have the dates here, and you also have, as I was saying, last but not least, the PMS Info Day. This year is taking place on the 21st of May, 2025, and it will be a live broadcasted event. You can already register, and you will receive additional information like the agenda and the different topics that we will be covering in the PMS Info Day. Said that, you have here the hashtag for the Slido today. You also can scan the QR code, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna share the Slido or someone else is going to do it.
I can share it. Yes, I can try sharing again. Okay, Marcos. Hopefully this time you'll see. Okay.
Otherwise, I can. Yeah, if it fails, I can do it.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Let me just do it. Okay. Let me just go out here. Okay. Sorry for the technical issues. Okay. And now you should see in presentation mode. Okay. Perfect. Okay, great. So yes, you can start connecting at the Slido. You can either connect through the QR code or also using the code #PMSQA1802. Okay, and I'll leave this maybe for 30 seconds and then we can start, of course, and move on to the next slides where we have the questions. Okay, so already have quite a perfect. And exactly, if you continue continue wanting to join, of course, you still have the QR code and the code on the site. Okay, perfect. So we have already quite a few questions. So let's start with the first one. Okay. Okay, so first question is there a way to retrieve my list of change requests submitted in PMS PUI?
Yeah, so I cannot share my screen because I have personal data on the on this part, but in the product UI, if you go to my workspace, so on the top you have this product management service where you can go to the product of my organization. Then you also have the dynamic product reports, and you have a point that is called my workspace. There you will have access to all the change requests that you have submitted in the different statuses. So you have the draft ones, the submitted, the completed, the cancelled. There you will be able to see all the different change requests that you have submitted or you have created. You will have access there, and you can also download in an Excel the list of change requests, the change requests. So I hope with this information you can you can go to the page. I'm gonna do something because I think we are having again these issues.
Still, unfortunately, yes, I can see from my colleagues the screen comes and goes. So
I'm gonna share. Don't worry, it's fine.
thank you.
Okay, so I hope you can. No, not yet. Sorry for this. I hope you can see it now. So the first question is already replied. So how do we enhance 2.6 manufacturing authorization reference number, effective date, medicines regulatory agency, organization for CAPS? Do we need to raise the service ticket? Yeah, so for centrally authorized products, we have migrated the data for CAPS, as you know, from SciAmed. And in SciAmed, we don't have the data for the authorization reference number or the effective date or the regulatory agency. And for the moment, you don't need to provide this information. In the future, we might request this data, but for the moment, for CAPS, you don't need to provide it and it's not needed. Okay, so you don't need to submit any ticket. You just need to review, okay, the manufacturer is correct and the business operations are correct. The rest of the fields that are empty, you don't need to provide any information because we don't capture this in SciAmed and therefore it will not be there. Then, regarding the hierarchical MBOs in the EAF, if the EAF only includes the highest level term, while M3 lists operations at a lower level of granularity, which operations should we submit? So you need to submit the ones that are captured in EAF. I know there has been a lot of comments about, okay, what EAF is showing, how do we capture this information? So before Monday, you will have a new version of Chapter 3 with the list of manufacturing business operations that you need to provide to PMS. So I have exported, and I have the list here. So I have exported the list of manufacturing business operations that appear in the EAF. And this table is going to be included in Chapter 3. So you will see, okay, which are the business operations that you need to submit in PMS. Not all of them, because maybe for your product, some of them are not needed or they are not applicable for your product, but you will be able to see, okay, which are the business operations that you need to submit to PMS. And then you don't need to worry about EAF, even though they are the same. So I've just extracted this information. But again, if EAF is the highest level, then you just need to include the one at the highest level. When will you communicate regarding the aid of re-uploading of data for non-CAPS? I don't understand this question, sorry.
I think maybe, Marcus, this is related to the banner that we have published on the PLM portal, both in the PLM webpage but also the PMS section. The banner has been removed because the loading of the data in caps and then non-caps has been completed. So that's why you don't see that. But we are not planning to have any reload of the data because we have done it already. Before, I think, on the 7th, we have completed this activity.
Okay, yeah, then exactly. As Renika said, this has already been completed. The banner has been removed, so you can check the data for these ATC codes and everything that we were uploading again. Thank you, Renika. Okay, how long does it take for the PMS to be updated for CAP products after the approval of a submission via the EAF? The submission was in May and the approved in September, and the update is still not visible in PMS. So for CAPs, we are taking the data from SciAmed. So as soon as the variation has been approved by EMA, the SciAmed colleagues are updating the data in SciAmed, and then the day after, you should be able to see the updates in PMS. If you are not seeing these updates, then please raise a ticket and let us know which is the change that you are not able to see. Because in principle, it should be reflected in PMS as soon as the variation has been approved. So if it was in September, it should be there since September. I would suggest you to open a tick and let us know which is the data and the product that you cannot see. Then for the product UI dynamic reports, why are some products not shown in the package section, although they can be accessed through the section products of my organization? So we know that last week we had a temporary bug that was preventing, you were not able to see the products in the dynamic reports. But this is a new one, so we would need to know which is the product or the packages that you cannot see. Also, you should make sure that you are not filtering out like withdrawn products or things like that. So again, you can open a ticket for the product UI, the group product UI, so we can check what is the issue, if there is any issue with the products that are not reflected in these reports. When will the recording for all Q&A sessions be available? Yeah, they will be available soon. We just need the publication team to make them available. Okay, we understand that we need to submit the information for the Union List of Critical Medicines manufacturers by December 2025. If we have to submit a variation for a new manufacturer, we would need to provide this information within 30 days in the PMS, similar to the XCVMPD submissions, right? So, yeah, that is correct. So if you submit the enrichment for the manufacturers for your products that are under the Union List of Critical Medicines, if this data changes, because with the life cycle of the product there are variations, you change you add a new manufacturer, or you remove a manufacturer, or you remove a manufacturing business operation, you need to keep the data submitted to PMS updated. So that means that if you have included a new manufacturer, you have 30 days to include this manufacturer in PMS. If you remove it as well, you need to keep the data submitted in PMS updated. The same way you are doing it in XCVMPD. If you submit an EV code and then there is a change, you need to update that EV code. So yeah, that is correct. In the step-by-step guidance for pack size and manufacturing enrichment in product UI, is this pack size and manufacturing enrichment available somewhere already? We can find detailed guidance on the PLM guidance section. So yes, let me show you. if you go to the PLM portal and you go to this section here, PMS guidance, here you have a lot of information. You have, for example, the Q&A documents here that you can check. You have training sessions here for with different information. And you have the user guides. Here you can go to the product UI guidance documents. And here you have the registration guide, the list of known issues, but also the navigation guide. And here you can see how to access the product UI. You have all the information, navigation through the product UI, filtering PMS data, my workspace area, and here we explained everything, product data submission in the product UI, and you have here step by step how to submit data to PMS through the product UI. So all the information can be found in the PLM portal. Okay, once a change request is deleted, can it be reused? So if it is deleted, no, because it will disappear from your workspace area. So you cannot reuse it again. You can cancel it, you can keep it on draft, but if you delete it, it will disappear, so you cannot reuse this change request anymore. When EMA will enrich the package description to PMS and make it aligned with XCVMPD, I still see that package description is not up to date in PMS as we have it in XCVMPD. So here, we have seen that some EV codes have not updated the package description when it was submitted in XCVMPD, and the product UI is still referring to the old one. We are investigating this issue. So the latest data that has been submitted to XCVMPD on the package description will be reflected there. So for the moment, just bear with us because, yeah, we have identified this issue, but if you have submitted it to XCVMPD, it will be reflected soon in the product UI. And sorry for that because it's an issue that we have found in the last week, but we will work on that. Then, which dynamic report replaces the union list of critical medicines Excel file in order to identify which products in the union list of critical medicines list? So if you go to the, here in the PLM portal, to the dynamic reports, there is a report that is called all ATC codes, so this one. Here, what you can do is filter by the ATC codes that are part of the union list of critical medicines. You can select multiple ATC codes here. And this one will give you exactly the EV codes that are impacted in your company for the list of critical medicines. You can also click on the manufacturing operations and you can see which business operations are there. But otherwise here then you can export the data in Excel and you will have all the information of your products based on the ATC codes that are under the union list of critical medicines. You just need to filter based on the ATC code. We want to improve this report. It's not happening this quarter, but maybe during this year. So the ATC codes are already pre-selected to be compliant with the union list of critical medicines. For the moment, you need to filter them out manually. The idea is in the future to be able to have it automatically filtered, but this would be the dynamic report to be used for the identification of these critical medicines. Okay. When is it expected that packages are corrected for Belgium, Luxembourg, and Finland? Currently, for each language, one package is created. Furthermore, the package description is not always updated with the values sent to EV. So that one is the bug that I told you. For the expected date on when are we going to, what we want to do is merge packages that belong to the same pack size, but the thing is, as we have 3 or 2 languages, then we have these duplicates. For the moment, we don't have a date. We have this item in the backlog to be prioritized, but there are other bugs that we need to identify. So also with the new contractor for the new software developer that we have, we need to check when we will be able to have this feature implemented. So I cannot provide additional information because we don't really know for the moment when this will happen, but it's on our backlog and we want to work on that to make sure that we don't have these duplicate pack sizes for the moment. Some PMS IDs in the PLM portal in PLM no longer match the June union list of critical medicines, despite no grouping element changes via RIM. Some packs that had the same PMS ID in union list of critical medicines list now have more than one. Is it possible that the above happens with every submission? In principle, no. In theory, only when you change some of the grouping elements, then the PMS ID will change because it's one of the criteria that we have while we consume data from XCBMPD. So because we have received this comment from an NCA saying that there were some changes on the PMS IDs, we have checked and they have changed like in a rate that is according to the normal rate of updates that we receive in XCBMPD. So we have not seen any issue in principle for this. Again, if you want us to investigate any specific case, you can maybe raise a ticket and we can check why the PMS ID changed. Maybe it was done because there was a validation performed in XCBMPD by the validation team. Maybe you didn't submit anything, but the product was validated. So we would need to check this scenario because that can happen. Okay, it's not only that you send data to XCBMPD, it's also our team is validating. We are performing this validation of EV codes. So if there is any change on the grouping elements, then that will impact your PMS ID. MBOs, it is okay to submit the higher level term, or is it mandatory to break it down to the lowest level? For example, it is sufficient to submit a procedural operation for medicinal product which contains 3 lower MBOs, or is it mandatory each individual MBO? Let's go to check the Excel that I was showing you. Procedural operation for medicinal product, we have it here. And procedural operation for the medicinal product is this one. So in principle, you can submit it. I'm not sure if the 3 of them that are here are these ones. If so, you will need to submit each of these manufacturing business operations because these are also submitted within the EAF and we will need this information here as well. So if you have a manufacturer who is performing these 3 different MBOs, then you need to submit this information to PMS. Okay, it's the same as, for example, sterilization. We have this higher one here, but then we have the filtration, dry heat, moist heat, whatever. If any of those applies to your medicinal product, then you will need to add or submit whatever is relevant for your product. You need to split these ones, okay? It's following the same approach as the EAF again. If you have submitted or any of these MBOs in your EAF, you will need to submit it as well in PMS. Okay. Can we rely on the fact that each package product in PMS always has an XCBMPD EV code? This is useful to map to the package product in a RIM, for example. So yes, well, yes and no. So for non-caps, that is correct. Every packaged medicinal product will have an EV code and you can use it to map, okay, this is my packaged medicinal product that is linked to this EV code, and you also have what we call the package PMS ID. So you can use these 3 for the mapping. For caps, in principle, all the packages should also be mapped to an EV code if the grouping elements are the same. So for example, if the MA number is the same, the marketing authorization holder is the same, etc., then we will do what we call the match and merge. This is explained in chapter 7. You can have a look at this document. If for some reason, and we have a few cases like this, the data that we have for CAPS in SciAmed and the one that you have submitted to XCVMPD, for example, the MA holder is not the same, or the authorization number is not the same, you have included an extra 0 or 1 0 less than the one that is in SciAmed, then this match and merge is not done, and then you don't have a link to the AV code, and you need to change and correct the data in XCVMPD. So that is the only, let's say, reason or exception that you can find. But for NAPS, as we take the data from XCVMPD, every package has an AV code assigned. Okay, how are the PMS ID data for EA countries be migrated or handled for the centralized procedures? As we see, the data of first authorization can be different for Iceland, Liechtenstein, or Norway. Currently, this data is not seen in PMS. So as we have explained in the PMS Q&A document, we are not migrating the products for Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein for the centrally authorized products. We are only migrating the EV codes with authorization countries Europe. So they are not handled because they are not migrated. We only have one product for CAPS, which is the one with the authorization status EU. I hope that is clear. Then when are the document-related update or enhancement planned? PMS ID. In PMS, we see some of the document TV code, but they are not recent data submitted in XCVMPD. Yeah, so this is also explained in the PMS Q&A document. We did an initial migration of this data, so the documents, actually only the document ID, so the attachment ID, we migrated it to PMS, but we are not maintaining this data. The reason is because we need to have a discussion on how documents are going to be managed in PMS. So that's why we decided, okay, we are not gonna keep this information updated, so please don't review this section. Okay, whenever we have more information on how are we going to manage the documents in PMS, the ones coming from XCVMPD, we will provide you with more information, but for the moment, don't have a look at this because we are not maintaining this data, and that is the reason why you see old data and not the new ones. Okay. What is CMA suggestion if EAF form manufacturing details 32P1, 32S details does not match with current information in alignment? I would say that this is maybe for CAPS. So I assume that if you have some data in your EAF for CAPS, and then you see the data that we have in PMS, you need to have a look. Please go to chapter 3 because there is also explained how the data for CAPS is migrated. For CAPS, we are capturing the data in the higher level of the RMS list. So this list is hierarchical. We have different levels. SciAmed is just capturing the highest level. So again, if we have this sterilization for filtration, dry heat, whatever, in SciAmed we only have the high level term. So if you have this information, the lower levels in EAF, it will not be reflected in PMS for CAPS. That is okay. We will have conversations with the SciAmed colleagues because they will need to start capturing this information as well. But for the moment, if it's a CAP, just make sure that your manufacturer is correct, the one that is assigned to the higher level. Okay. Thank you for your answer about the MBOs. So the higher level term should be used just if one of the lower ones is applicable. Correct, exactly. So for example, if I have this case again for the sterilization, if you are not using or is not applicable any of these, but you still have a manufacturer that is doing the sterilization, then you need to use the highest level. Now, if you need to break it down because one of them is doing this sterilization chemical, then you need to provide this data. I think something useful would be you need to follow the same approach as the one you would follow in the EAF. So if you were to submit a new marketing authorization application and you need to provide information on manufacturers, how would you do it? The same way should be followed in PMS. Okay? That might give you a bit of also additional information on how to submit the data in PMS. Okay, when mapping from XCMPD to PMS, authorizations have been combined that do not belong together. They are independent authorization and must therefore also be selectable in EAF. How should this be changed in XCMPD? I've seen today a ticket. I think this person is the one that opened that ticket. You can have a look to the PMS Q&A document. There is a section there explaining what to do with this independent authorization that should be split in PMS. We are also having discussions with the SMEs and mainly with the network PO, because in some countries we have seen that we might need to improve the business rules that we are using from XCMPD to merge the AV codes into PMS. But the quickest solution, the workaround that we have now, is you should include in a space on the name of the product for those EV codes that should be split. So the system will consider these EV codes as different from the others. I will have a look at the ticket because the way it's written is the same as in the ticket, so we can provide more information there. But it's also in the PMS Q&A document, you have additional information on how this can be managed. Okay, to clarify, how shall we then have our data added for Liechtenstein, Norway, and Iceland, as those can differ from the CP entries? So this one, in XCMPD, you still need to submit your records as you are doing it right now, the ones for Europe, the ones for Liechtenstein, Norway, and Iceland. You submit the data. If there are some discrepancies in the CAP entries, you submit this data in XCMPD. No change there. Now, in PMS, we are not going to use these records for Liechtenstein, Norway, and Iceland. The fact that we are using this in XCMPD, it's because that is when XCMPD was developed, there was a need to have these records. We made an assessment with the SMEs, with the consuming systems from PMS, etc., and we decided that in PMS we don't need these records, and that's why we are not migrating them. So you submit the data again in XCMPD as you are doing now. In PMS, there will only be one record, the one where in XCMPD we have the EU as authorization country. Okay, I hope that clarifies. You don't need to do anything in PMS for these records. Okay, how shall the marketing status of a transfer product be assigned when the authorization status is set to not valid, superseded by marketing authorization transfer, nor marketed? That I don't know. I'm sorry, because this is not a question for PMS. That is a question for the IRIS team that is dealing with the marketing status. So I would suggest you to open a ticket for them. Because I have no idea on this marketing status for transfers. So yeah, please open a ticket. The team is called Iris Marketing Status, and they will be able to reply. Maybe we can also ask them and include a reply here in writing, but right now I have no idea because it's not a PMS thing, but we will check. The product UI dynamic product reports, the alphabetical sorting does not work properly. Also, sorting in Excel is difficult due to the connected cells. Is EMA working on this currently? So, yeah, when we were developing these dynamic reports, we had this discussion. Because it is true that when you export, if you have, for example, a PMS ID with multiple pack sizes, then you have merged cells, and then the filtering and the sorting can be a bit difficult. But that was the way it was designed. We also agreed this with the SMEs. And also from our point of view, it's the best way to do it, not to do it as the ones from XCBMPD that are huge Excels with a lot of duplicate information, etc. So for the moment, we are not really working on that because they were designed like this. But if we receive feedback or suggestions from improvements from the SMEs, maybe we can have a look. But again, this was the way it was designed together with the SMEs. You can contact the SMEs, give them feedback, and maybe we can try to see if there is something that we would need to improve. Okay, if we have in the CTD EAF analytical control of drug substance or drug product, and there is no RMS equivalent term, we do not insert it, right? Well, if you have in the EAF analytical control of drug substance, then it should also be in RMS, because you need to remember that EAF is consuming data from RMS. So it should be there, but yeah, it's not. I would suggest you to check the EAF and make sure that you have this is the correct term. So just for you to know, EAF is using the sort names from RMS. So you will see in the EAF these names here. I would suggest you to check again the EAF because again, if it's in EAF, it must be in RMS. Okay, why are some authorization numbers missing and not searchable? So they are not missing. If you read chapter 2, it says that we have the authorization number can be assigned at the product level or at the package level. Then, if all packages have the same MA number, then this number will also be assigned at product level. That is the case, for example, in Spain. We have the same authorization number for all the packages, so you will have the MA number at this level. You can also have different MA numbers per pack size. In this case, the MA number will only be assigned at the package level and the product level will be empty. This is the case, for example, of Italy. Each pack size has an MA number, so the product doesn't have an MA number. In this case, what you can do is you can use the this all packages report, and here you will be able to look for the MA number at pack size level, and that should help. That would help you with this analysis. So let me. We can maybe have a look. So, for example, here you see you have the package MA number. In this case, you have all these MA numbers that are different, for the pack size. So here you will not have an MA number at medicinal product level, but you can identify. In this one, for example, that we have both MA numbers are the same for 2 packages, then we will also have an MA number at product level. Okay, you can use this report to look for your authorization numbers. Then, is there any guideline that explains the criteria to select the operations to be inserted in the EAF? I would say the notice to applicant, but I'm not sure because I'm not an expert on the generation of EAFs. But we can also check this one with the EAF team. But I would say is the notice to applicant because it's the Bible you need to follow when you are going to provide the marketing authorization application. But we will check because I'm not sure if there is any guidance specific one. Okay. For CAPS PMS data, from where data elements, reference number, effective date, and agency extracted from, as Chapter 7 indicates, is not migrated from SIAMED, but it reflects in PMS with wrong information. So that was a similar question before, because some products don't have the data and some has a wrong information. They have wrong information in the reference number, and some of them, but very few on the effective date. That is an issue that is coming from IRIS, we know, and we have a bug open to be able to remove this data that is wrong because we don't have reference numbers. That is a very old product or something like this. We know there is a bug and we will work on that. But for CAPS, this data shouldn't be there because we don't have it in XBMPT. Sorry, in SIAMED. So we will be working on that. When CP medicinal product will be merged in PMS, it seems we have distinct medicinal product PMS IDs for EU and Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein. Again, we are not migrating these products from Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein. So you can raise a ticket. These products are not migrated. We remove them. They are removed in the product UI. So they should not be there. And we are not going to merge them. We will just remove these products because at the beginning we created them, but then we decided that they should not be in PMS, so we removed them. So they should not be there. Okay. If you see them, just let us know because yeah, they have been removed. Okay. Do we need to check also issues on the ingredients? For example, we notice that the operation and unit of measurement are sometimes missing from PMS for the active ingredient. Yeah, that is a good practice to review the ingredients and the strength. So if you can do it, that is perfect. And if you find issues, then you can let us know. Yeah. Also, we have seen a bug that sometimes the unit of measurement or the unit of presentation for the active substance is missing. And we are working on that. The development team is actually working on this today. So you can have a look, and if you find and you spot any of these mistakes, you can let us know so we can try to see if we can solve it. Okay, is there a list of known issues that contains bugs, such as the one you mentioned today, that duplicates entries, for example, for Belgium due to language? We notice a lot of duplicates PMS IDs, sometimes without obvious reasons. Yes, you can go, as I explained, to this PMS guidance, the Q&A document, frequently asked questions. It was updated this month. And here you will be able to see the list of known issues. Some of them are not issues, but they are explained here. And you also have when is the expected date to resolution. So, for example, this was solved in December. This also was solved in December. So you have all the known issues and when are we expecting to solve. So the duplicate entries, for example, it was solved in February. Nullified products and packages, this is, maybe I need to update, this is not maybe 2025, sorry, but yeah, you have all the information here about the known issues and when are we going to solve them. Okay, what should we do if EUDRA GMDP certificate, the MIA number, is missing for the manufacturer? Well, then I would say you don't have the reference number. The reference number is not a mandatory field, so you don't need to include it. That would be the answer. But I don't know if I'm missing something else. But I think this is because at the end the manufacturer is there, it's performing activities, so you need to submit it. You might not have this reference number that is one of the fields in PMS. So if this is missing, you don't have it, then you don't report it, and that is fine. We at least will have the manufacturer and the business operation. Okay, there may be times when an EAF needs to be updated after submission, for example, validation queries. Should we edit the existing EAF or create a new one? That is not a question for us. This is the PMS Q&A. There is another EAF Q&A happening. I don't know if it's this week or when, but yeah, I don't want to reply because I might be giving wrong information, but I would say that you can update the existing one. But again, it's not a question for us because we are not experts on the web-based EAF. I would suggest you to either wait for the Q&A of EAF or raise a ticket so they can reply. Product UI dynamic product reports. So we understand it is agreed how exported data looks like and it is not suitable for sorting. But also in product UI, the alphabetical sorting, for example, the column full name does not work, although the function does exist. Sorry, not this one. In theory, because but if again, we will check with the developers of the dynamic reports. But in principle, that should be working. But we will check with them just in case, and we will come back to you. We will check with the Microsoft team and check if there is any bug or something. So both the initial marketing authorization application and the updated 32P31 manufacturers were updated in PMS, right? I don't know if this is a question or a statement. I'm not sure. Sorry, I cannot reply to this one. Okay. Could we update a change request for enrichment after validation to update again when we miss to complete the entire information, or should we create a new one? So when you click on validate a change request, what the system is doing is just checking if all the business rules that we have implemented are okay. Like, yeah, you have a manufacturing business operation for a manufacturer, or I don't know, you have included a structured pack size data and you have a value and a unit of presentation. It's checking this. It's not doing anything else. So you can continue making changes. You can validate it again to make sure that the data that you have included is correct, and then you perform the submission. So that validation is just to check if the data that you have included is for the moment correct or not. This is something that maybe is not very useful now that we are including very few data elements, but in the future when the product UI is going to be used to submit the full product, maybe you would like to validate more often. Like, okay, I complete my packages section, so I validate it. I complete the ingredient section, so I validate it, instead of waiting until the end when you have, included all the data. So yeah, you can validate, and then you can continue making more changes. And then you submit it. So validation is not submission, okay? It's a different step. Currently in PLM, it seems impossible to be able to select individual licenses. This is problematic for CMC variations, where in some cases only certain MAAs will be affected by the change. How is that to be managed in the system? So again, if you have what we call these duplicates products, so you have all the information is the same, like the product name is the same, MA numbers are the same, ingredients, everything is the same, but they are considered two different licenses or two different products, then you need to send an update to XMPD to include, for example, a space on the name on those CB codes that should be separated. This way, the system will consider that, okay, the CB codes belong to a different product, even though it's the same name and everything, but this space will make it look like a different product for the system. And there you will have both licenses separately. We will discuss anyhow with the SMEs because we are receiving a couple of questions like this. We will check with them, like for which countries this is happening and how we can improve maybe this process. Again, in the Q&A document, you have a bit of explanation on how you can deal with these cases. Okay, how mandatory are the data points, manufacturer authorization number, effective date, confidentiality indicator? If not for now, when will they become mandatory? So the confidentiality indicator is mandatory. The manufacturer authorization number and the effective date are not mandatory, I would say. But we can also check. Chapter 3. So here we have all the explanation on how to submit the manufacturers. So the effective date is not mandatory. The reference number is not mandatory. The confidentiality, you need to say if it's public or confidential, so it is. You have here more information, okay, like I don't know the MBO start date. Okay, for legacy product, you can do the same as the initial marketing authorization date. So some questions that we receive are already replied here. Okay, but these points that you put here, these are authorization number and effective date are not mandatory. The confidentiality indicator is. Do we have to insert the MBO operation types regarding excipients? Thanks. No, not excipient, only medicinal product and active substance. So again, we will include this Excel file here with the MBOs that you need to submit, and these are only for active substance and medicinal product. Okay, so no excipients. When will the recording for all Q&A sessions be available? I think we'll reply as soon as possible. We just need to send it to the publication team, and they will share the recordings. Okay.
Sorry, Andres, if I may.
Okay,
it usually takes a few days. So if we send today, you can wait a couple of weeks maximum. It can be also before. And please check EMA's YouTube channel and the event webpage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Katerina. Okay, PUI industry user role with only read access and no edit rights would be useful. When can we expect such role to become available? So maybe Veronica can provide here more information, but we already have this in the planning. But yeah, go, Veronica.
Yes, so the analysis has already been made. So we have lived as uncommitted because we have to give the priority to the release of the bulk update. So this is expected at the beginning of Q2, unless we have spare capacity and resources to anticipate it. But the analysis is ready. The role is also being set up. You don't see that, by the way, officially in IAM page. There is an extra work between related to the data integration between IAM, IRIS, and PUI to be done, and that's the missing part scheduled for Q2 beginning. So this is the status.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. Okay, so I don't understand what happened with Liechtenstein, Iceland, and Norway. Why are they not migrated to PMS? How are they going to be maintained? So we are talking only for these countries for centrally authorized products, because as you know, in XEMPD, we have this business rule that for a centrally authorized product, you need to submit 4 records, 1 for Europe and then another 3 for these EEA countries. That is a business rule we have in XEMPD. If I remember correctly, it's because of fee or something on pharmacovigilance that MA holders need to follow this approach. In PMS, we are not following this approach. So for us, we only have one centrally authorized product with the authorization country EU, and that's why we are not migrating the EV codes that are linked to Liechtenstein, Iceland, and Norway in XEMPD. They are there because they need to be there, but we are not migrating this data into PMS. You need to maintain these records in XEMPD because again, XEMPD processes are still there. You need to maintain the data. The only thing is that this data will not be pushed to PMS. Only the updates that you do to the EU records will be processed. But again, you need to maintain the data in XEMPD for these countries. The business rule in XEMPD remains the same. Okay? We have not migrated this because for us in PMS, we only have one product, which is the one with the authorization country EU. And I hope that is clear now. So these products are not in PMS. These products must be in XEMPD, and you need to maintain the data in XEMPD because that's the legal requirement for you. Is it possible to update the package description or MA number via the PMS UI edit access? No. These 2 fields are fields coming from XEMPD, so you can only edit this data in XEMPD. In the product UI, you can only edit fields that are not part of XEMPD. So the manufacturers for the moment and the pack size, the structured data on the pack size. But these 2 fields are coming from XEMPD, so you cannot change it. You need to go to XEMPD and change it there. Can we have a filter for EV codes as well in the PLM portal? I don't know if you mean in the main page or in the dynamic reports. In the dynamic reports is already here. You can filter by package EV code. If you mean in the main page, we can consider that, but it will not be this quarter and maybe not next quarter because we are focused on the bulk update, but it could be something to consider. Yeah, that would be the reply. I don't know how much time do we still have left, but okay, exist and well, I see someone open the survey. So please, if you can fill the survey and give us feedback for improvement, etc., that would be appreciated. Maybe I can reply to the last question. Yeah, exists an ER diagram where I can see the relations keys between the tables medicinal product and packaged medicinal product. Well, the one that is called this one, the all packages, here you would be able to see, let me see, here you would be able to see the relationship between, here you can see the relationship between the PMS ID and the packages. So here, for example, PMS ID with all these package IDs, with all these CV codes, etc. So I would use this report to make this link. Apart from that, we don't have any other report for the moment with this link. Yeah, do we have time for something else, or should we close it now?
We should close, Marcos.
Okay. Okay, so I guess there are still a couple of questions, but for today we have finished the Q&A. As we explained, we have on the 25th, I think, is the next Q&A session. So you are more than welcome to come back, and we will continue replying to your questions. Okay. So thank you very much. Have a nice day, and see you next week.